My neighbor drives a 2018 Honda Pilot with a dent in the rear bumper he hasn't fixed in 2 years. I know this because I've watched him not fix it for 2 years. The dent is small. The repair would be maybe $400. He clearly knows it's there, he just doesn't care. Not in the way that suggests financial difficulty, but in the way that suggests the $400 has somewhere more important to go and a cosmetic repair on a car he plans to drive for another 4 years, isn't it? What I also know about my neighbor: he retired at 54. He owns his house outright. He hasn't had a car payment since 2019. He takes one international trip per year, not to a resort, to somewhere interesting, and he pays cash for it months in advance. He wears the same 7 shirts on rotation and has done so for as long as I've known him. His lawn is mowed, his house is maintained, his life, from the outside, looks almost deliberately unremarkable. And every time a new family moves into the neighborhood and sees the dented Honda in his driveway, I can watch them make the same assumption: that he's doing okay, but nothing special, that he's a regular guy getting by. He is not a regular guy getting by. He is a person who decided sometime in his 30s that there is a specific list of things the financial performance industry wants him to buy, and that none of them were worth what they actually cost. Not the sticker price, the real cost, the opportunity cost, the compounding cost, the cost of what that money becomes when it goes somewhere else for 25 years. Today, we're going through that list, not the obvious version, not wealthy people don't buy lattes, the real one. The 12 categories of spending that the genuinely wealthy consistently avoid while the rest of the market lines up to buy them. My name is William, and some of these are going to surprise you. 1. Extended warranties on anything. Best Buy calls it the Geek Squad Protection Plan. Apple calls it Apple Care. The car dealership calls it peace of mind. The financial industry calls it one of the highest margin products in retail. Extended warranties exist because the manufacturers already know with actuarial precision that the product will almost certainly not fail within the warranty period. They price the warranty to generate profit above and beyond that probability. If extended warranties were financially advantageous to the buyer, manufacturers would stop selling them. Consumer Reports analysis found that extended warranties cost significantly more than the repairs they cover in the vast majority of cases. The wealthy person who bought the Samsung TV skips the $180 2-year protection plan, puts $180 into a dedicated appliance replacement fund, and self-insures across multiple purchases simultaneously, which is exactly what insurance companies do. They pool risk. You can too. Across a household of appliances and electronics, self-insurance consistently beats the individual extended warranty by a margin that compounds when the saved premiums are invested. The one exception: manufacturer defects on high-value electronics in the first year, which is typically covered by the base warranty anyway. Everything beyond that is margin for the retailer. 2. Lottery tickets and get-rich-quick products. Americans spend approximately $100 billion annually on lottery tickets, more than they spend on books, music, movies, and video games combined. The expected return on a lottery ticket is approximately 50 cents per dollar spent, a guaranteed wealth destruction vehicle marketed as hope. The wealthy person understands something the lottery marketing machine needs them not to understand. The only guaranteed path to wealth is boring, slow, and available to almost everyone. The lottery is a tax on the mathematically disadvantaged, a product that transfers money from people who need it toward government programs and lottery corporations' profits, marketed specifically at the demographic least able to absorb the loss. The same logic extends to trading courses, promising to teach you to generate $10,000 a week from your laptop, the drop shipping masterclass, the crypto signal group, the passive income blueprint for $297. The people getting rich in those ecosystems are the people selling the products, not the people buying them. The shortcut is the product. You are the revenue. 3. New cars financed over long terms. You already know this one from a financial mechanics perspective, but the reason wealthy people specifically refuse this purchase goes beyond the math. It's about fixed cost architecture. A $767 monthly car payment is not just $767. It is a recurring obligation that reduces your financial flexibility by $767 every single month, regardless of what else is happening in your life. Job loss, market opportunity, personal emergency. The payment doesn't negotiate, it just arrives. Wealthy people think about financial decisions in terms of what they do to optionality, the ability to make different choices when circumstances change.
High fixed costs destroy optionality. A paid-off 3-year-old Toyota RAV4 contributes zero to your fixed cost structure. A 6-year loan on a new $52,000 SUV contributes $847 monthly to a fixed cost structure that will outlast the excitement of the purchase by approximately 5 years. The wealthy person drives the RAV4, not because they can't afford the SUV, because they understand what the SUV payment actually costs in terms of freedom, and freedom is the one thing they've decided money is actually for. 4. Brand new anything that loses value immediately. The first owner of a $380,000 house absorbs no immediate depreciation. The first owner of a $48,000 car absorbs $7,200 in year 1 depreciation. The first owner of an $1,800 laptop absorbs significant value loss the moment the next model is announced. The wealthy person is disproportionately likely to be the second owner, not because they're cheap, because they understand that the first owner paid a premium for newness that dissipated immediately, and the second owner can access the same functional product at a fraction of the cost once the newness premium has been absorbed by someone else. The certified pre-owned 2022 BMW is not a compromise. It is a $22,000 discount on a vehicle that performs identically to the 2025 model for 95% of real-world use. The refurbished MacBook Pro from Apple's certified refurbished store is the same hardware at 30% less, covered by the same warranty. The second owner mentality is not frugality. It is the recognition that newness is a feeling, not a function, and feelings depreciate faster than hardware. 5. Subscriptions that compound invisibly. The average American carries $219 per month in active subscriptions. Their self-estimate when asked is $86. The $133 gap is the ghost of every free trial that became a paid membership, every annual renewal that processed quietly, every streaming service added during a specific show and never canceled after. The wealthy person audits this category with the same attention they'd give any other recurring expense, because the subscription model is specifically designed to exploit the psychological tendency to underweight recurring small costs relative to one-time large ones. $14.99 a month doesn't feel like $180 a year, but it is. And 17 of those don't feel like $3,060 a year, but they are. The audit isn't about eliminating everything. It's about making every subscription a conscious, ongoing choice rather than an invisible default. 6. Financing anything that depreciates. Cars, furniture, electronics, clothing on a buy now, pay later platform. Anything that loses value and is financed at interest represents a double loss. You pay more than the purchase price and own something worth less than you paid for it by the time you finish paying. Affirm, Klarna, Afterpay, the buy now, pay later industry exists because separating the purchase decision from the payment decision reliably produces more spending than the cash equivalent transaction would. The wealthy person who wants the couch saves for the couch and buys the couch. The interest-free framing on the installment plan conceals the opportunity cost of the capital deployed across 12 months, which is never zero even when the stated rate is.
7. Status-driven address premiums. There is a specific neighborhood in most American cities that carries a social signal disproportionate to its functional value. The zip code that communicates something, the address that impresses at dinner parties, the school district that requires a mortgage sized to the signal rather than the household's financial reality. The genuinely wealthy are remarkably indifferent to address as signal. They live in houses sized for their actual lives, in neighborhoods chosen for practical criteria, commute, school quality, maintenance cost, community, rather than for what the address communicates to people who will never visit. The address premium, the extra $600 a month in mortgage payment for the prestigious zip code rather than the adjacent one, invested over 20 years produces approximately $330,000. That is what the signal costs. Most people who pay it have never calculated it.
The wealthy person who chose the adjacent neighborhood calculated it before the first showing. 8. Financial products with high fees and opaque structures. Whole life insurance marketed as an investment. Variable annuities with surrender charges extending 7 years. Actively managed mutual funds charging 1.2% expense ratios to underperform the index 92% of the time. Structured products that require a glossary to understand and a fee schedule to regret. The wealthy person's rule on financial products is simple. If you cannot explain in 2 sentences what the product does, who profits from it, and what it costs, you don't buy it. Complexity in financial products almost universally benefits the seller. Simplicity, the index fund, the term life policy, the high-yield savings account, almost universally benefits the buyer. 9. Impulse purchases above any meaningful threshold. The Amazon cart that fills itself at 11 p.m., the Instagram checkout that processes before the consideration phase begins, the in-store display positioned at eye level to intercept a decision that wouldn't have been made from a list. The 48-hour rule is not a frugality hack. It is a mechanism for distinguishing genuine preference from manufactured desire. The wealthy person who wants something waits 48 hours. A significant percentage of those wants don't survive the wait, which means they were never wants at all. They were responses to a stimulus designed to convert browsing into buying before rational evaluation could occur. What survives 48 hours is worth buying. What doesn't survive it was the marketing working correctly. 10. Upgrades timed by the manufacturer rather than by need. The iPhone 15 owner who upgrades to the 16 because it exists. The car owner who trades in at 3 years because the lease ended and inertia produces a new lease. The laptop replaced because the new model was announced rather than because the existing one failed. Manufacturers spend billions ensuring that the replacement cycle feels driven by genuine obsolescence rather than engineered dissatisfaction. The wealthy person understands this mechanism, drives their Civic for 9 years, uses the MacBook until it genuinely cannot run the software they need, replaces the phone when the battery no longer holds a useful charge after a $79 replacement, makes every upgrade decision against the criterion of actual functional failure rather than the criterion of something newer existing. 11. Convenience at systematic scale. A single Uber Eats order is not a financial problem. Uber Eats as the default mode of feeding yourself, 4 orders a week at $38 average including fees and tip, is $608 a month, $7,296 annually for food that costs $90 a week to prepare at home. The wealthy person doesn't never use delivery. They don't use it as the default. The difference between occasional and systematic in this category is $5,000 to $7,000 annually, which, invested at historical returns over 20 years, approaches $350,000. Every convenience premium paid systematically produces this math. The question is never whether the individual transaction is worth it. The question is whether the pattern is. 13. Other people's opinions at financial cost. This is the one that ties everything else together. Every purchase on this list has a version that's driven by genuine preference and a version that's driven by what other people will think. The car that communicates something, the address that impresses, the watch that signals, the restaurant chosen for its Instagram potential rather than its food, the vacation designed as content rather than experience. The wealthy person has made a specific decision that most people never consciously make. They've decided that the opinion of people who judge their financial choices is not worth the financial cost of managing it. The dent in the Honda bumper doesn't get fixed because my neighbor doesn't care what the new family in the neighborhood thinks, and that indifference, sustained across decades of decisions large and small, is a significant portion of the explanation for why he retired at 54. The dented Honda is still in the driveway, the $400 repair is still not happening, and my neighbor is still retired at 54. Subscribe for a new video every week, and drop the one thing on this list you're going to stop buying in the comments. I read every one.